Welcome back.
Welcome back. Show the balloon.
You are the balloon.
Oh, buffoon.
Welcome back.
Welcome back.
To Tower After Dark. Oh no, that's next week.
That's next week. The Perpetual Tower After Dark that will be airing at a podcast near you. Fun fact: nobody asked for
Podcast near
Is
you.
Spotify gonna
Every
come film it?
podcast is a podcast near you.
No, not everyone. I once did this one that you had to like actually be in front of me the entire time to listen to it. It was crazy. But I would like loop it. So if people said rewind, I would like go back a couple of words. It's insane.
And on that note, welcome back.
Welcome back.
Oh, I was gonna say my fun facts. Did you know I had a podcast
started?
before this?
Is that what we're doing?
Yeah.
What was your
We're starting with
podcast
a fun
before
fact.
this?
I tried two. One was called Coffee Time. That one sucked because nobody was on it. But the second one
Coffee time.
was called Tea Time.
Okay.
Right? I didn't get much in high school. Now that we have that kind of ground rules.
Can you say that in the mic? I don't think they heard you.
No. I had this one called Tea Time. I regret
I
it.
think the legs closing up hurt you.
Yeah.
I think they were
just everything dressed.
every leg ever.
Yeah.
just closing up.
And the whole concept behind it was, it was shooting the shit, but then it was with a different cup of tea each time. We did one episode.
Like a physical different mug?
Yeah, like
and then the tea inside of it too?
I love how it's the same tea, but it's a different mug.
Yeah.
Like that's,
I mean, it would.
that sounds so expensive for production. Can you imagine this show of every time we had a different mug and it's just water? Like, we'd run out of money. Goodwill would make a lot of money, though.
That's a fun fact alone.
Not many.
You have
people-
fun with it?
I mean, I'm still trying to.
You're still trying to fathom how I was single
I'm
for so
still
long.
trying to flirt with.
Welcome back.
Whoa.
To the cast pod.
Welcome back.
To the cast pod of cast pods.
You got to do your intro thingy.
Which one?
I've been teetering between us doing it or not doing it. Because Austin said he loves the banter.
Oh, is this you trying the banter?
I was
thought that was
exploring
you,
the banter. Yeah, I was following
I thought-
you. I was
okay.
going
I was
with
like,
you
ah,
there.
yeah,
But
I guess we're here. This is
I mean,
banter.
just to let you know, none of this is getting cut out. Like the episode started about 2 minutes
Well,
ago.
I can retell you guys. I could probably name the most cameos that came out in this film than both you guys.
I don't know about
I'm
that.
challenging this guy.
You're
How about
gonna
that?
Oh no, yeah,
really
yeah.
And on that note, welcome back
welcome
Welcome
back
to the WatchTower Film Podcast.
the Watching Tower of the Watching Podcast. I'm your co-host with the most.
the
Packing
most
where
what?
I'm lacking,
Packing where you're lacking.
Oh yeah,
Smacking when you're
whacking. Yeah,
smacking where you're whacking.
yeah.
You need to write
Now
these down, bro.
now I know how those
They're recorded forever.
citizens
they're-
of Pompeii felt.
Oh shit.
But instead of hot magma, it was just frothy ejaculate. You know, my mom watches these episodes sometimes, and what I love about that is that we got a new TV, and she likes to put it up in 4K on the TV.
Feel this and tell me it doesn't feel like a cock.
Thanks, Mom.
Welcome back.
You a real G.
We've been back.
Welcome back to the WatchTower Podcast, the film review podcast on the Towercast Network.
Yes,
What's today's
sir.
movie?
By cinema lovers, for cinema lovers, and I'm joined by my fellow co-host, Mr. Michael Lalo.
It's Modelo time.
Been hanging out with Jason too much. Mr. John Eric Castro.
I'm gonna need you to stop saying weird shit.
I just want you to stop saying hot shit.
Why don't you stop? Shit.
Um,
Man in the
Mr.
back.
Austin Young.
My name's Jeff.
We got the Austin cam.
Oh,
Can we do like something fun on the Austin cam? Just like,
Whoa.
You know what I love? Is
that's
that
too much fun. It's too much fun. It's
Yeah.
teetering on the line. Yeah, there you go. Slow it
Yeah,
down.
actually, could you like do the side to side? You know?
yeah. There we go.
Oh,
There we
That's
go.
more pleasing to the eye.
We're back. A lot of that is pleasing to the eye, indeed. Welcome back.
Do I put my shirt back on or?
You know, I was voted.
You know, it's like the Bobby Lee thing. It's blending into your skin. I don't know if you're wearing a shirt or not.
I was voted most likely
this
in
is
high
where it
school
goes.
to
This
put
is
his
where
shirt
it
back
goes.
on.
You were voted most likely to put the shirt back on?
Yeah.
Like senior year? or
Yeah,
the
like at a
whole-
pool
the whole
party,
4
you
years?
know, I was voted that kid.
Again, legs.
Just
And you always wondered why.
leave him wanting
You know,
more.
I've
absolutely.
always wondered why he lived in a desert.
I think you're the one that's wanting more because you're not getting any. Now, going back to this,
You can almost say that you guys are funny people.
You know,
Yeah, dude, come on. What's the title of today's movie?
we're doing
1986's
1986 is Tom Cruise in People Are Funny.
People are funny.
I really want that to be a movie.
I genuinely. We're doing Judd Apatow's 2009 Funny People. Now,
Is this a hidden gem or people? It's
I
just-
like to think so. I think
wanna
the
show this
people
to
who
everybody
watch
now.
this, the people who haven't watched this, I just always want to show it to them. The people who have watched it end up just bitching about the runtime. So those are the two perspectives I get.
2.5 hours.
Yeah. And we watched
Really?
the extended cut, which wasn't
Oh,
that.
so how long is the extended
I don't
cut?
know what the theatrical run is. Maybe 2:15. There isn't a ton, but there are a few scenes that we watched the
Awesome.
extended
It's like
cut.
228 what I saw right now.
Say I think maybe two.
IMDb has it listed at 226, and the extended was 232.
So we
okay.
watched the extended.
So we
Oh,
have
man.
four whole.
4 whole
And that
minutes.
goes a long way, man. Like
Yeah.
extended scenes for sure.
yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of, now that we're in the editing, fun fact numero uno.
A ver.
You know,
Fuck Facebook.
fuck Facebook.
In the face.
I
In the
genuinely love
face.
James Taylor.
I know that was like your favorite part of the whole
Oh
film,
my
right?
God.
Just hear James Taylor say
Yeah.
"fuck Facebook." And,
Fuck Facebook.
fun fact about the editing:
yeah.
a certain someone we admire, a certain someone we've talked about on this podcast, has unofficial credit of passing an edit on this film,
Ooh.
of doing an edit pass. Mr. Ladies and gentlemen, Paul Thomas Anderson
Aye, wait.
Really?
did an edit on this film for Judd.
PTGA.
PTA, because it's not PG, though. This is rated R.
It really
Paul Thomas Anderson
Wow.
is uncredited, but he did do an edit pass on this film
So why is he uncredited?
because he
It
probably
was-
just did it
it
as a
was-
favor.
okay,
You know,
okay.
Judd was saying, "Hey, you know, this is my most
And if
serious
you're credited,
film,
you have
right?"
to get paid or something. And he was like,
Yeah, so there's a whole
There's
thing,
a whole
right?
thing
Like
to
in,
it.
in the editing guild and ASC, right? But what I think that's what makes this film, what differentiates it from anything Judd has ever done.
Yeah.
I think it set up the stage for him too on being able to tackle more serious movies. But what I think this film has a special touch in is sure, it's very personal to him. He did stand up. Sandler obviously did stand up. And but what's more is like you have these weird touches, like the Paul Thomas Anderson doing an edit pass on this. You have Janusz Kaminski,
Spielberg.
arguably, one of the best DPs in the game. Spielberg's go-to cinematographer shoot this film.
in this type of film. wow.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, there is a charm to it because of it, but there's more care. Like I said, there's just like more intention, more care there. You know,
I was talking to Costro about one of the scenes that I really like the lighting. It's the first time we're in the bedroom with Sandler
Oh.
and Seth Rogen, and
talking to him
that
in
he's
sleep.
like, and
yeah.
he was
The
like, oh,
silhouette-ish
why
kinda.
are you so into the shot with like Seth Rogen having like this like split lighting shot? And I mean, something like that to me, I feel like it really does indicate to the audience that there's this like split in him right now.
Yeah.
That one, he's a comic who's looking at his idol and
Yeah.
looking at him like you're exactly what I want to be. Everybody thinks you're funny, but then on the other side, there's a real person, and that real person was coming out around that time. You know?
and to add to that,
With Adam?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where you saw him like,
Yeah.
this isn't, oh, I'm writing for you. This is like, I'm facing death. I
Yeah.
don't know how to handle it. I need you to stay by my
yeah,
bedside.
he,
It's
he
a
was
very real
thrust
moment.
with
Yeah.
the responsibility of his news,
Oh,
right?
okay, I definitely agree with that.
So it's very interesting, and to kind of piggyback off the
You can
intention,
piggy-bit off
we
it
could
too.
piggy-bit a little bit, but we have to most importantly piggyback. And what happens is this film was kind of loosely based. And I never caught that growing up, seeing it or rewatching. I must have seen this film 10 times at this point. I mean, this
wow.
is one of those like favorite kind of go-to movies.
Come back to.
And it doesn't fit in my list of all-time favorites. It doesn't fit in my list of even maybe all-time comedies, but it fits
know that you
in
were
my
worried
list
about
of
that.
like. It fits in my list of like. Even deeper than a feel-good movie, just some comfort movie, you know.
Isn't that one of those like with me, like, I know it's pretty corny, but we all wish that happened to us.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean,
wanna-
it's
like,
one of the. It is a Hollywood story after all, right?
you
But
wish you got leukemia? Is that?
Nah, man, but everybody just
You meet
fantasizes
your
about meeting
heroes.
your idol.
meet your heroes and working for them
Oh,
or
okay.
working with
You
them.
imagine
know?
being on the other side. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Ira character, but no. But this film, if you didn't catch the connection, because I had never caught it before this. is very very loosely connected or very loosely based on if you think about the plot of The Great Gatsby.
Elaborate.
Think about that. So if you've seen the Leo film, or if you saw the original 1942 film,
Who read the book?
or read the book of Scott Fitzgerald's Great
Okay,
Gatsby,
kinda-
rich guy throws parties every night for a certain someone of his past who he hopes walks through these doors at some point. And there's death surrounding the entire novel. The entire novel of Gatsby is about death.
Yeah.
But this newcomer comes into his life who happens to turn into his most important kind of voice of reason. And then you have the Leslie Mann character be the Daisy character. You have the Adam Sandler be the Gatsby character. You have the Ira being the Nick Carraway character.
Yeah.
And then you have Eric Bana's character being the husband, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's there's a lot of parallels between that kind of great classic novel and something like this.
Yeah.
Which again, I think it just adds more intention, because I can't just we all have these different bundles of film where this is one of the ones I'll throw on in the background. Yeah, this one is one of the one I have to sit and watch. Or this is one I won't change the channel on. This for me it sits in a really weird spot where it's like
It
I
connects
understand
to you on a deeper level.
it's so much more than
and it doesn't have to be overly trying.
Or is
Yeah.
is it one of those like they asked Nolan? Is that like a drop remote type of?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. For me, this is a drop the remote, leave
And
it
it's on
on
TV.
type of thing. Yeah.
No, and that's why I wanted to pursue the cast on this one a little bit more.
Yeah.
And it's funny for it being your pick. I know we had to kind of like fight for it a bit, but it's because there's people. I think our podcast has always given the wind that if it's not of this extremely high caliber and whatever it's doing, then it's not a movie worth talking about. And I know that we've had films that, like I've shown you or we've shown each other, like besides the podcast, and that we talk about all the time, even though we...
it's like, if we compared it to sports, when we talk about these films...
Like the AFL.
Does it make the bracket, right? Yeah. Does something like this make the bracket to be able to talk about, right? Which, and I always tell you guys, right? Like, whatever film made you feel something. What I think is special about this film for me is I saw it in a place and time in my life where, for some reason, we've been tackling these films more closely to each other. Yeah, where I discovered like cinema, or what I thought was special storytelling through the film medium. Yeah. And I just thought, again, this was in that Judd Apatow era, and then everybody, I think, was just so upset that he didn't make another Knocked Up or another Superbad. And,
really?
He did. I mean, don't get me wrong. Critically, this film did well. The critics loved it, but
I feel like it helped a lot of like up and coming stars that now we know, but right there, we just
but it didn't. I don't think it did that until much later, until the video on demand DVD kind of space. Because for one, the film bombed. It didn't do well in the box office.
But the numbers, awesome.
And it was, at the time, his most expensive film to date, because you got look at the stars, locations. It shoots in L.A. It's based in L.A.
The budget was 75.
Yeah.
Opening weekend was 22 mil. Gross in the U.S. and Canada was 51. Gross was 71.
So it never made its budget back.
It fell just short of making its money back.
And again, 75 for a comedy is stupid expensive.
Kind of.
But it needed it.
And also,
it's kind of. I was gonna say a stupid joke.
Right.
It's kind of being having. Is that when it started with Adam Sandler? Him just like his movies bombing.
No, I don't think so, because he made much dumber movies than this after that. I think he just for one, look, there's a lot of background to this film. One being that Judd wrote this film for Sandler. What a lot of people don't know, and I'll just give a little bit of background before we get into our ratings.
Yeah.
Judd Apatow and Adam Sandler were roommates. Around the SNL days for Sandler.
Did they kiss?
It wasn't when he was
They kissed
NYU.
a lot.
Oh.
It was like post NYU, right in the NYU, post NYU kind of territory, where he got SNL, and Judd Apatow was working for a comedian named Gary Shandling, who's this big comic in the early 90s, and
like kind of doing what he was doing, like writing jokes from.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's kind of, he was writing for him, and then Judd went off and kind of did pretty successful in writing for TV, writing for comedy. And what a lot of people don't know is that in the mix of all of that is, and we hear him in the film, which I pointed out to you guys when we were screening it, Ben Stiller was in that mix with
And
them,
the
right?
prank, yeah.
And any archival footage in this film, even some of Leslie Mann's, is real. And what's more is that opening scene, Judd Apatow filmed that with his camera while him and Sandler were roommates.
Oh wow.
With
Because-
Ben there?
Yeah, Ben Stiller was a bud. I mean, think about it. Think about the Cable Guy. Cable Guy, Ben
Oh,
Stiller
yeah, yeah,
directed.
yeah. Oh,
Judd
yeah, that's
Apatow
a
wrote
true-
it.
yeah, that's
That
a
was
true.
the beginning of their writing kind of partnership.
But I'm trying to figure out, like, that couldn't have been Adam Sandler famous.
I think it was right at the cusp. I think it was
Because
him getting.
He was doing
SNL.
young comedy.
Yeah.
SNL?
Yeah. Yeah.
He
I always
opened,
thought when I
uh,
first saw this film, I thought it was like his like New York, NYC days.
No, I think it was it might be in that era, but I mean, he didn't even finish school, right? Like he got SNL and he got like Overboard and a couple of these small films and Airheads and all these films.
Overboard or whatever that one.
Yeah, but he was doing well for himself, Sandler. He has a great story about those days where have you heard the story about this teacher?
Yes!
His acting teacher.
About buying him a beer.
Yeah, about buying him a beer. The teacher, his acting teacher in NYU.
Was it his first one or?
I think it was like his only one because he didn't stay there for long. He basically takes him out and says, "Hey, let's grab a beer after class," and said, "This isn't for you, man.
You got to pick something else.
Pick something else. You're not going to be a good actor. You're not going to be a good
Really?
comedian. I'm
my
telling you the
God.
truth. This is the time to go somewhere else." And Sandler obviously didn't listen, did well for himself. And when he got the first kind of sparks of success, call it 10 years later, comes back to the bar and bumps into the same teacher, and he has his friends with him. And he goes and he tells his friends, "This is the only teacher that ever bought me a beer in college."
Instead of doing the
Instead
opposite.
of like pushing him down, like, "I made it, bitch."
Wow.
Like he bought him a beer, which tells you a little bit about Sandler, right? But anyways, to give you guys the background of that, Judd wrote this for Sandler, and Austin said something that I didn't know. And as a director, I can't imagine the film would have gotten made anyways. That if Sandler would have said no, Paul Rudd would have stepped in the Sandler role.
I'm sorry, Paul. I love you, but no.
No, man, it's just
no.
I don't think it would have worked. I don't even think Judd would have pursued it.
I don't even think he does stand up.
No, and
Yeah,
then
I don't think so. I
also,
don't think you're right.
also I feel like
By the way, it was Paul Rudd or Jason Bateman.
Neither of those.
Neither of them would have worked.
I feel
Bateman
like
would have been more believable on the drama side, but it's
He
just-
would have been too young. No, I don't even know.
Bateman?
He was,
Oh,
in that
he was up there.
TV series.
No, that was that dude. As a stand-up, you mean?
No. But like him, like being famous, kind of.
because
Yeah, he was in Teen Wolf.
Oh, okay.
He was Teen Wolf when
He
he
was
was
in Teen
younger. He was a child actor. Yeah, Bateman's been around running around Hollywood forever. dude.
I also think that this one punches harder because even while you're watching it, one of the biggest things that people say is like, "Ah, man, I watched like a Sandler film," or you watch film with certain people and you can't get past that image.
Yeah.
Well, this one steers
serves
into
it.
the
It
curves.
serves it,
Yeah,
right? Yeah, it does get
and
into
that's
the-
great
steer into
because
the skit.
especially opening up with like archival footage where it's
Yeah.
just real Sandler,
Yeah.
then the moments punch harder because you feel like, oh
I
man,
don't know why I felt like this was when I was younger, right? When I first screened the film, I don't know why I felt like this was just this important piece of Sandler's career, an important piece of Judd's career.
You thought it was?
I still think it kind of is, right? Like this is like if Sandler would have died after making this film, it would have crowned his career up until
Yeah.
that point, right?
Okay, interesting little here.
Yeah.
When I first saw it, I thought like this movie was a little too full of himself. Not
Really?
knowing the whole process of
The
film.
movie.
Yeah. Like,
Okay.
I was just like, oh man, Adam sounds like a little too full of himself. I know that it's around him and it's the comedian.
Okay.
That's kind of
Yeah,
his
yeah.
career.
It's a character. It's a
But then I
character.
saw it today. I was like, wow, this has so much.
There's so much
Before-
heart, so much
more.
intention.
So
yeah.
before we dive into it, because I think it's going to bring up a good conversation, let's go into ratings.
Yeah.
But also, I'll preface it with this: we're doing our comedy month, and
Yes,
that's
so
a really
this-
interesting kind of place to be in because I know that you were worried. You were like you were talking about earlier how you were watching like the airplane episode and
Yeah,
all
yeah,
that,
yeah.
and how this one didn't feel the same.
No.
And it's interesting because on paper, and
Yeah.
even when you're watching it with the jokes and
It's-
everything like that, you're like, okay,
It's some of the smartest comedy
it's
written,
so
you know,
smart,
It's
and
kinda
I
nice
mean,
dialogue
it's
and
like,
stuff like that.
it's comedy blended into the drama element, and it takes you on this really interesting ride.
Well, look,
that's why I didn't want to pass it up. But
I'll point this out.
Yeah.
Before we get into that. I was really aware of that. In fact, I was so aware of it that I got so confident when we were making our picks for Comedy Month that I had 2 this month, right?
Yeah.
And that's just what happens every month for each of us. I was very aware that this was going to be the last one.
Yeah.
And therefore, in my head, I already knew. I never brought it up to any of you guys, but in my head, I was like, oh, it's going to be a good bridge back into serious cinema.
Yeah.
I knew that. I knew like that was
Yeah.
the intention.
When
But
I was watching, I was like, yeah,
but when
this
we
is
were
good.
like finishing, I remember just thinking about the opening of the podcast, and I'm really going to say, to cap off comedy month, we're going to do a dramedy. And if you know me, and if you know my style of film, and if you know, if I could write something for the rest of my life, it'd be dramedy. So the films like these do stick to me when they're good, when
Yeah.
they work. And again, for somebody like us who all four of us are massive fans of stand-up, are massive fans of like the history
Absolutely,
and like
yes.
the intention and then like it really brought me back because I'll touch on this a little more. I got to have a front row seat, not really a front row seat. It was the worst seat you can get in that club because we bought tickets that day. But I got to see the LA comedy scene face to face this last time I went to LA, which helped. Like it gave me a really cool, fresh perspective on seeing this film after that. Back in late last year, I got to go to the legendary Comedy Store and see some great comics do something in an LA comedy club, which, if you know anything about the history of stand-up, is massive. Especially the Comedy Store. I mean, guys like Pryor, who took over that club for the longest time. Louis C.K. did a special there not too long ago, live at the Comedy Store. The Comedy Store is
It's just
this
historic,
important historic piece of history. But by that same token, in this film, they shoot at the Comedy Store for some stuff. They shoot a lot at the Hollywood Improv, which is another legendary comedy club. That the comedy club culture is massive. Is massive for LA comics, for NYC comedy. Even in New York, you have the Comedy Cellar. You have the NY Improvs. Like these places are important for the stepping stones, for the building blocks of a stand-up comic.
But yet New York is very different.
It
from
is
LA
very
comedy,
different,
which is the beauty of it.
but the LA comedy scene is something so special, and to have somebody like, it's like in today's day and age, it's like, sure, Sandler is a perfect example. Sandler comes back to do stand up, which he did, and he's fucking great at. If you go check out 100% Fresh on Netflix. It's his most recent comedy special. It's fucking genius. It's still, it holds up. And he does this really beautiful dedication to Chris Farley at the end of it, and it's just this really, it's a beautiful thing. But my point is, Sandler grew up in this world as a comic.
100%.
But in today's day and age, it's like if I went to the Comedy Store and saw Chappelle do 10 minutes. In today's age, or if I saw Louis do 10 minutes at the Comedy Store, at the Improv, it's a very special thing. And if you haven't experienced it for yourself, don't get me wrong, you can go to Bart Reed's comic strip here in El Paso and experience some of that magic. Seeing, like, I got to see Paul Rodriguez on that stage, Pablo Francisco comes all the time.
I saw Chris Kattan.
Chris Kattan, these legends going back to still work on their craft. There's something special about it. There's something special about it.
Yeah.
So that's part of the magic of this film for me, is knowing the love that we have for stand-up, knowing the love we have for stand-up comics,
Because
and then the special ingredient, the special magic of the work it takes to do 10 minutes, the work it takes to build an hour for a special.
I'll add a little bit into it, and I always want to I always put my sports into it. I think it's like UFC.
Okay.
Like, I give any respect that goes up there, because you could get demolished, you could get booed out, you could be hated. So I respect anybody that goes up on the stage.
Something special,
Yeah,
man.
man.
Something
Trying
special.
to make people laugh.
vulnerable and like.
And
the
what's funny
worst
is
in a way.
that the
And
most
I've seen Adam Sandler had perfected that craft.
I do feel like there's a little bit of that magical realism in this movie, because the first comedy club scene we see is not even an Improv. It's not a Comedy Store. It's not the Laugh Factory. It's the Comedy and Magic shop. It's this rinky-dink LA comedy club that somehow George... If I had to write a backstory to this, like, George Simmons gets this terrible news of his disease and probably thought, I'm going to go back to where it all started, which was probably this rinky-dink club. Before the Improvs, before the Laugh Factories, before whatever comedy club that's
hole
bigger.
in the wall type.
Let me go back to the hole in the wall place and see what's out, see if that sparks something in me.
And that's where
And
comedians...
that's the magical realism of, like, that's where he met Ira, and that's where this thing. I think it's just one of those serendipitous moments that It just feels special. It just feels like a special thing to
It
tackle.
felt special seeing Adam Sandler do. I don't know if that was written, but it just seeing him do.
No,
yeah.
It's like, oh, he still has
in
it.
a way
He
that
still-
only he could. And
Yeah.
I mean,
And you said they steer into the skid for the stand up.
yeah.
Sandler doing his voices that most people get annoyed with.
Oh, and
or
then his singing. I mean,
Singing,
a
the
lot of
playing,
his
the
singing comedy
music.
that
Oh,
we
how
didn't.
they just put it
Yeah,
blended
because
in
that's
and
stuff
certain
that's
parts.
so signature
that's-
Sandler, especially when you look at like his early career.
It's
Yeah,
only
yeah,
something
yeah.
that somebody from his early career could tackle.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because Judd was with him in those days.
Oh my goodness.
He knows what to do with that.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
It's
Hanukkah
like
song,
knowing the
all
voice.
these-
It's you know it's
super
Nolan
intimate.
knowing
Shit
it's
car.
Nolan knowing Killian. It's Scorsese knowing De Niro's voice. It's Judd knowing Sandler's voice because I grew up with this guy. Like I know what to do with him.
It's
And
super.
why do you say that he wrote it for him? Was it like he asked?
He
or
actively said I wrote this
But
with
why though?
Sandler in mind.
Oh, just like
When he wrote the script, there was nobody he pictured other than Adam
Than Adam
Sandler,
Sandler.
and he wrote the Ira part for Seth Rogen. There was because remember Seth Rogen, quite frankly, like not only was he with Judd since Freaks and Geeks, but dude, Knocked Up was his biggest hit at the time, and this was Seth Rogen leading that charge for him.
sure.
I remember growing up and seeing the poster for Knocked Up.
Yeah.
Just the green background and Seth Rogen's big head, and then the tagline was, "What if this guy got Drew pregnant?"
with the Knocked Up being red and yeah.
You know, like that was iconic in that era. Again, this Judd Apatow era. So it's a really full circle moment, I think. And you know what? In prepping for this podcast, I didn't see interviews with Judd. I remember seeing a lot of the bonus features growing up on the DVD. And this, I think to this day, this is Judd's most personal film. It's most special.
Doesn't
So-
Judd also have a special on Netflix?
He does. He went back to his stand-up stuff as well. Yeah, for a little
And,
bit.
Yeah, watch it. It's pretty
It's
good.
decent.
Wait, Judd does stand up?
He did. He grew up doing stand-up too.
And I
Oh
think
my
he did
God.
one on Netflix.
I had no idea.
New York days. Him and Sandler, though. You know
Just
what I mean?
Sandler, like,
wow.
overshadowed
Yeah,
everybody.
naturally.
So
So ratings.
well, I was gonna
But yeah.
say that. I mean, this is kind of kicking us. I genuinely think it's a really good pick, and I genuinely think it's an interesting transition because before we get into ratings, comedy has this weird place where you see it blend into every other genre.
Yeah.
Like you'll see.
It's starting to leak
I mean,
out to
the
everything.
dramedy, the horror comedies, the romantic comedies, where there's an underlying like foundation of what the story is going to be that
Yeah.
defines its
Yeah, yeah.
genre. But then comedy's added in. And I feel
Yeah.
like with the romantic comedy,
Excuse me.
it's sometimes done just to make it like a feel-good film. But I feel like there's an interesting place where comedy can elevate.
I have to
the
tell you,
genre.
I don't think I'm biased because this is I have a really big love for dramedy.
Yeah.
I don't think I think every other subgenre for comedy that you just listed, I think every single one of those can be formulaic. I think with dramedies you can't bullshit. You can't bullshit in dramedy.
Well, that's
It's
because
not formulaic.
drama, the
Yeah.
genre in and of itself,
Yeah.
it's got
I think you
it's
can,
got certain beats that
Yeah.
can't really be replicated in every circumstance. But I want to say with all that, it's interesting because if you put it to the same scale as the films we've been talking about,
Yeah.
and just say, okay, rate it as a comedy,
Oh, wow,
you're
okay.
like, well, shit, like the films we've been rating, which they're only
They're comedy gems.
yeah,
Yeah,
but they're just comedy.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm not
Like
looking,
Airplane is just
yeah,
like,
like
you
Yeah,
know,
you
yeah.
don't look at Airplane
Yeah.
and think like, okay, well, it was a romance film, or
With that
oh,
guy.
you look at what is it
The
called,
stories.
Super Bad, and think
You're
like,
not really
oh,
paying attention to any art.
you're paying attention
character
to the
development,
comedy
nothing.
element.
Yeah,
of it.
absolutely.
The jokes, like, do the jokes land? Are the jokes sticking? And 90% of the time, you're just laughing your ass off.
Yeah, that's true. And that's
but
the
with
intention.
this one,
That's the intention.
the
More
comedy
emotion.
is supportive of the main genre, which
Yeah.
I'd go into like saying drama. So for this one, I mean, I think it's going to be interesting to ask, like, sure, what would your rating be as a comedy and what would your rating be as like a movie? Because at least for me, if you don't mind me going first.
No, not at all. Go ahead. This was your first time seeing it
First
ever,
time,
right?
first time,
Yeah, yeah.
super fresh.
I
Seeing
think you
it.
were the only one out of all of us that hadn't seen it before.
Yeah, well, you know, like, thanks for telling people I don't want.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I know people who don't watch good movies either. Don't worry, like it's
No.
fine.
Oh, double burn.
What is that?
I
Ricky
have
says,
a-
yeah, my cousin doesn't
Yeah,
have
my
good-
cousin has bad taste in movies
yeah,
too.
it's okay. I have a cousin. You know, we don't talk to him. He just got out of
He's
jail.
the black sheep of the family.
Oh my god. So on a comedy front,
Yeah.
it's so hard because I enjoyed the film so much, but when I break it down to just its jokes, the fundamentals, because there were so many times where it could have been funnier,
Yeah,
or it could have really played in. In fact, the whole idea of they had intentional bad jokes. I mean, as a comedy, it's not going to stick. You know, for
that's what I wanted to talk about. Like,
Yeah.
I do want to touch on that before you move on from that point.
I was gonna
There's
give my
nothing
ratings.
more authentic than like seeing how they're working on their 5 minutes, on their 10 minutes. Like,
Yeah.
you
I
see
literally
that.
get a quarter of a chub every time I see stuff like that.
Yeah, so like these jokes weren't meant to be refined in this setting.
Yeah.
These jokes were meant to be
Worked on.
Judd Apatow or whoever, Adam, whoever, because there was a lot of improv, bringing the joke in and, all right, I'm striking while the iron's hot. I'm gonna bend this joke into what I want it to be. And then when you see a joke that hits hard, it's because they earned it.
Yeah.
So like as an audience, I'm seeing the sausage get made. And that's more special than eating the sausage.
Yeah, I hate sausage.
Rating.
Shut up.
On a comedy scale, I'll give it like a 3 or a 4. It's not
Interesting.
It's not
A
the
what?
a 3 or a 4.
I just took a drink. 3 or 4?
Yeah, if you just look at this
As a
purely,
comedy.
Yeah, if I
As a
said
pure
like,
comedy.
dude, I got the funniest film I got to show you this
Yeah.
weekend. I show you this. You'll
Yeah.
laugh. You'll remember a few lines. I mean, I know you like the Chinese monkey one a lot because
It's just like
that one. It
I
hits you
forget
so
the name
hard.
of that actor, but he was Gollum in Lord of the Rings. He was the voice
Yeah.
of Gollum. He's just this important George something his name. But like it's just so out of place. Like Gollum saying fuck with the Chinese monkey. Like it's
Yeah,
just
like-
the funniest thing in the world.
And those things I feel like are memorable.
Yeah.
But
Fuck
it's
you,
it's
Randy.
not. I don't think most of the people who just watch comedy.
Yeah.
If you're a purist, I guess, are gonna look at this film and think like, oh, dude, like I was laughing 100% of the time.
Yeah.
And it's hard because I
No.
don't think those same people would look at this and think it's a bad movie. I just think if we have to break it down, be
No, I'm
subjective
okay
about
with
it.
that. I'm okay with that. Let me tell you why. Because
Well-
I can watch, like I obsessed with telling you guys about watching the docu-series on the Comedy Store, right? Like you guys need
Yeah,
to watch this thing on the Comedy Store. I didn't laugh. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like I was
exactly.
watching a documentary on stand-up comedy, and, I
that's
felt
where
really okay with that.
I'm bringing that up
Yeah.
because I think there's a lot to explore. But as
Oh, I
a
thought you were going to
film,
compare it to that.
no,
Okay.
as a film, you know, I loved it. I was absolutely moved by it because I think this falls even into like my wheelhouse of like there's films that it didn't have to be this technical mastery, but it creates so much dialogue for me. I mean, I could be honest with you guys. We had a conversation, a real heart to heart, because of how much this film really impacted me.
Wait, that conversation happened because of how the film made you feel?
Yeah.
Really?
Interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't correlate the two.
I didn't
didn't think that?
I didn't.
No.
I didn't connect those dots either.
I thought it was just something that happened and you just wanted to talk
literally,
about.
long story short, I mean, it was something that like I was, okay,
No,
let's-
no, there's no need to bring up what the
No,
conversation
but
was about.
what I'll say for this is there's relationship drama in the film that correlates to
Going
relationship.
back to man, now I'm piecing it together.
Yeah. So after we watched that, I mean, there were parts where I was like, I'm not laughing anymore because it's really
Yeah,
touching me.
that's interesting.
But in those
came
moments
up
that it really touched me, I was like, wow.
Now I'm seeing that. Now
that's
I'm understanding.
super impressive.
And you know what I thought, by the way, just to be transparent about recording this podcast, as Alal mentioned earlier, I thought like, is this something we really want to talk about? Because it's starting to just feel really nostalgic. And I hate using that term because I think of that Scorsese commercial with the Kodak films.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But this feels far too nostalgic, you know?
Yeah.
But it feels nostalgic. Like
There's a protagonist. Where's the
where's the antagonist?
Yeah,
Yeah.
really.
But and then I thought, yo, we're doing a comedy month episode. This film just brought the mood down. You know, so it just felt like, what is it? What are we doing here for this? But hearing you like, I was in my feelings because of it. That's interesting. That's really cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry, but
Yeah.
it's
I
a
mean,
cool
I hated
thing.
getting
It
punched
was-
in the face by an Australian, but who
Yeah.
hasn't gone through that, right?
Yeah.
No, but I mean, there's something like that. I mean, we talk about the whole point of films is that it creates dialogue and it connects to a human level.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I was like, I don't want Carlos to feel like, hey, we're going to have to pass up on this film because I can't say that I didn't feel anything on a human level.
Yeah.
I mean, on
And
that.
on an artistry level too, right? We're artists. We
Yes.
not only do we love comedy, but we can connect to it on an artist level.
And let's not disregard the film because sometimes with comedies, people are like, okay, well, that's low cinema. And I mean, part of the reason why we wanted to have like a comedy month is to say that no, there's a real purpose in comedy, in cinema. And it's not, like, it's not reserved for just like, cheap jokes you say.
Films.
Yeah, there's something really special about the genre of comedy in film.
I think as a storyteller, that's what I love about comedy and stand-ups, and sure, just the clever nature of crafting a joke. What I love about being a storyteller, and what I love about being a storyteller in this era, and what I love about the balance, the yin and the yang for me is not getting to a snobby, pretentious place in cinema where a comic can't bring me down back to my level.
Okay.
Like that's, to me, that's the yin and yang of my being.
Right,
loving cinema and all it stands for, and the care that people put to tell just a phenomenal story that sticks with you forever. And then coming back to like, man, they crafted such a great story in these 10 minutes of comedy that it wasn't snobby and it wasn't pretentious and it wasn't trying to be anything but just good storytelling within comedy. To me, that's the yin and the yang of me,
And I mean,
and that's what this film is, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's the yin and the yang.
The exploration of that.
Yeah.
And I mean, so as a film, because I connected with it so much, and because I saw the potential, like I could see other people connecting with this. I could see other people connecting with it on a lot of different levels. I mean, and credit to the DP, the writing, the directing. I mean, everything feels like it's going to have these elements that are timeless. I mean, it dated itself
with MySpace.
Yeah, with MySpace and all that. But at the end of the day, elements of like, I mean, all the relationship stuff is super like, it's always going to be relevant in life.
This is one of
dealing
those,
with death, trying to define the boundary of like, do you want a friend who tells you things that make you happy, or do you want a friend who's like real with you?
Yeah.
Stuff like that. I mean,
I do want to point out too,
away.
just on because you touched on the technical front of it. What I think is special about this film is I usually don't care when films do this, but this all the technical elements blended. So it was really like. I don't have to impress you with the technical fronts. I'm using the technical fronts to tell the story.
Like, to think that the ending shot was a Technocrate shot.
I mean,
and it's like,
I love that
and
lesson.
it's so like, like people when they think about Technocranes, okay, if you're not in film and you don't really understand what
Mission Impossible,
what
you
we're
think
about to
of
talk about,
nerds.
they well, just to break it down, a Technocrane is a film tool where it's like a crane that holds the camera at the end of it. And it's what they use to get those shots where you start off at the ground level looking at the character and then zoom out and go wide, or you float through a space that normally the camera can't get to.
Yep.
And for the ending shot of this film, it's them saying, hey, I messed up. I'm sorry. Let me respect you now.
Yeah.
Let me be your friend and talk about comedy.
Like,
and then zooming out and seeing real life happening around them. And it's like he's finally grounded.
Yeah.
And it's
so
a
dope.
super hectic shot on a production front to accomplish.
Absolutely.
But
and it's the type of shot that your AD, that your producers are gonna fight you back on, because that was what $500,000 shot, maybe
But
$200,000 shot. But it made the ending.
Because
when you mentioned like that lady's just looking at the wine.
Yeah, do you think she finally picked
can't
one?
mess
Or,
up.
Yeah.
Just look
do you
at
think
the
she
wine.
finally picked one? Or?
yeah,
I hope
she's
so.
still
Nah,
looking.
she moved. Yeah, she moved.
She's still flipping them all. No, but something like that, and that kind of goes to show.
But that's Janusz. That's Judd's mastery as a director. Because let me put it to you this way: the most impressive thing I've seen from Judd since Funny People has been The King of Staten Island.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't think The King of Staten Island would have existed if Funny People didn't exist, right? This
I haven't seen that
dramedy, this dramedy that deals around losing his father on 9/11 and how that affects his adult life, and
Pete Davidson.
it just wouldn't exist without something
Yeah.
like Funny People. And again, the technical mastery of getting a Janusz and getting a Sandler and getting.
Don't you dare compare Pete Davidson to Adam Sandler. Don't you
Well,
dare.
Anyway.
no, but Bill Burr is the third lead in that movie.
Oh, but Bill Burr is Bill Burr.
Yeah.
Hey man,
Well,
but
just
when Pete can pull girls like Ariana Grande,
Yeah, man, you gotta respect the man.
Yeah.
You gotta respect who he's pulling, 'cause he had
Ariana, Kim,
Kate Beckinsale, motherfucker. This motherfucker dated Kate Beckinsale. You kidding me?
he
I've been loving her
hung.
since fourth
He's got to be
grade, for
hung.
sure.
And he's got to have a 12-inch cock. Like
He's got
I'm
a
just saying, I'm
thicky.
just
He's got
saying.
he's got thicky. Anyways, I'm sorry. Your rating.
No, just end
Yeah,
off
my
the
bad.
rating. As a film,
Yeah.
I'll definitely put it up at an 8.5.
Yeah.
Which I know that like we've rated films and things have hit
Yeah.
underneath, but I think it's because it just goes to show that if a film can have a good solid story and good people around it, I mean, there's so much that can maintain its longevity.
For sure.
It wasn't trying to be overly impressive and cheeky in certain film areas where it's like, oh look, they did this shot and that shot. It was very bare bones, but it was like all quality, you know?
Yeah.
And the quality is what, I think is going to hold it, and it's going to hold the test of time, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
So I know that was a very long-winded way to give my rating, but I just felt like I wanted to address that elephant in the room of...
You got the light.
Oh, God.
That's an actual thing, by the way.
Yeah.
Legitimately the bulb.
But I just wanted to, do that to kind of set the basis, because I know that, like, there was a lot of worry as far as, like, the tonality of this film for comedy one's very different. You know what?
In its most foundational level, this is a film that, in modern terms, as the kids say, gets slept on. This film has been slept on for a long time.
Look, I'm gonna need you to stop saying I'm chilling. It gets slept on.
No, that's fine because I don't chill, and it's not all good.
See, there's a little subtle, like only Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan, Seth Rogen, and Adam Sandler.
Shout out to Chuck for chilling.
Shout out to Chuck for chilling. Got a rating.
Look, you guys are gonna get mad at me. I can't rate it in two different.
You have to.
I just can't.
No, I was curious if you could,
I just can't because, like you said, this film was written for Adam Sandler, and
it was written as dramedy.
Yeah, but I just Carlos knows this about me. I've only seen Adam Sandler once doing like a real serious role.
Reign Over Me.
Yeah, Reign Over Me. And then this one is like, okay, we get Adam Sandler doing a subtle, not over the top. You know, you get his, his little voices and all this stuff, but it's subtle jokes within like the emotions that is going on in the story.
Yeah.
Also, the realness of like even when at the very end he's at the cashier or the little sub shop and he does his little voice and then halfway through the joke just stops and he says, "Are you gonna take a break soon?
Yeah,
exactly.
Just talk to you." Where it's not like. It's not just be over the top until people laugh. It's like, I'm being over the top because as a real moment, like I need to connect with this guy.
And you know what's cool about that for his arc? Just because you guys touched on it.
Yeah.
What's cool about that for Sandler's arc or George Simmons' arc is we open the film with him crank calling people in the voice, in the old lady voice.
It's the same joke, right?
It's the same joke. And it's look at him having such a good time crank calling people. That's comedy.
Yeah.
That's making my friends laugh.
Right.
And that's all he was trying to do.
And that's all he was trying to do
money,
in this,
before
at
everything.
the end of this. This is just, he got back to a place where I'm just trying to have fun. I'm trying to make my friend laugh. I hope if he laughs, I got him. I got him back. If he laughs, I got him back.
Also, like, how much of that is like...
Is real?
No, yeah. How much of that is like all of us? Everybody in their friend group and everything. Yeah. It means a lot. Like on a very small, intimate level. If you can make your buddy laugh, like we've had a good day.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
so sorry, Custer, your rating.
No, just with that, and then like how it just suddenly turns into like a really emotional story.
Yeah.
Then Leslie Mann.
Yeah, man. She's, I don't love her in a ton of things. I got to tell you, I don't. But Sandra, my wife, she's a big fan of Leslie Mann's. I don't think she's bad. I love her in
Big Daddy with the big boobs.
Well, yeah, that's fun, right? And that the people know that's my favorite Sandler movie, is Big Daddy. But
is that what they call you?
Okay.
No, but Leslie Mann to me just became her role in this a little bit. Like once she's a mom, dude. Like her biggest priority is to be a mom. I didn't see her deep dive into her career as an actress past certain things. Like her role in 40-Year-Old Virgin is funny and hilarious.
Kind of the same.
I feel like the role in this is the same role she played in Knocked Up.
It knocked up a little bit. Yeah, exactly.
I feel like she was the same person.
Exactly. Kind of. So it wasn't until when I saw her in The Other Woman, she had an arc there that was fun to explore.
Okay.
And it was directed by Nick Cassavetes, who's a great director. So like.
What did you think on this one? When she
was really showing her great. I think it's great.
Yeah,
I think Judd chose his wife for this to authenticate some of that. Leslie Mann is a good actress, at the end of the day, and now Judd's kids are good actors, and
he said that.
And they grew up on the set. So I like Leslie Mann. I do. I just don't. I take Leslie Mann for what she is,
Same with me. That's why this one impressed me a lot.
Yeah.
It was I've never seen this vulnerable.
That's true. That's a good point.
Showing emotion.
Oh my God! And then I mean, like as far as an acting role, and correct me where I might be wrong. I was super impressed at the range it showed throughout the film, because at the first part of the film, when you first are introduced, she's the stereotypical like you know what? I don't care about you. You
Cold
hurt me.
ex-girlfriend.
Why are you calling me? And then later on, it's like it warms up, and then it builds up, and then it gets all the way to the point of then she's like frantically trying to think like, well, maybe we can move the kids to a different school, and we can do this, and then it'll be okay because I remember you're talking to somebody who can try to find us real estate over here, and it's like, oh my god,
Dude,
and
it's
then
so
coming
real,
back to
man.
like
It's
cleaning
so
the slate
real.
and saying like, I got back to reality, and the reality is I've been married to somebody, I have kids, I'm established. Like, what
And
am I
by the
doing
way,
trying to like move on?
I saw
felt that
this
so much.
movie as a kid, and as you know, I was probably 10 or 11 when I saw this thing, and seeing it as a kid and coming from a house where parents are not together and stuff like that, I connected on that in that level then, like, oh, this feels familiar.
Oh, especially like the kids
this feels familiar.
conversation,
Parents
right?
talking about moving, whatever. This feels familiar. Or like the daughters asking, like, "Are my parents getting a divorce?"
And then
This
them
feels
trying to
familiar.
rationalize if they're okay with that or not as a kid.
Yeah, man, this feels familiar,
Yeah, as a
right?
kid, you're just
But
like-
as an adult, geez, man, as an adult now, I start thinking, I start thinking about that kid, right?
Oh, yeah.
And then I also start thinking about, damn, I'm married, man, and like if you get dangerously close to those moments of like, oh man, like whether it's on the temptation side or whether it's on the grown-up side of like, I can't just throw everything away over
Yeah,
a whim or over a
Oh yeah, or like a bad day,
Yeah.
you know?
Over a back.
yeah,
Like having a
you
bad
know?
day and then feeling like, oh man, it would be different if I had this one person.
Yeah.
But then again,
Yeah.
it's like,
But then it's
Yeah.
so real. It's so dull in its realness that, like, even seeing him not laugh at the video, like seeing him like, oh my gosh, I'm so in love with him. This was my first love, and I want to go back to that. And then you didn't laugh at my daughter's beautiful little video. You were on your phone. You're not saying the right things anymore after you got what you
Frustrated,
wanted. You know,
yeah.
like that's so real.
Yeah,
It's so
even
real.
frustrated me doing that.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
"Oh, what are you doing?"
And just touch on this before you give your last thing, your rating. That act is, I think, what people who don't get it, people who diminish this film, it's too long or whatever, expected the funny and didn't expect the drama. And what's more is that act is so crucial for this because every time we're contained in their house, in Leslie Mann's house, we're feeling Ira's like desperation to get the fuck out of there.
no, and
You
then
know,
also
as an
like,
audience, like we're feeling
Yeah,
like
Seth
the
Rogen.
like, oh man, this is a bad situation. Like I want to get the fuck out of here. And because it lives there, like it breathes, it lets that sequence breathe. You're like, as an audience member, you're like, shit, man, I want to get the fuck out. And I think that's why people who don't get it, they're like, oh, like I didn't like that feeling. You know,
Yeah.
it made me
and
feel
that's
uncomfortable.
So
But
interesting,
that's-
yeah. Especially like I was gonna comment on that and give you a rating, and I'm
Yeah.
gonna hold a pin in it because I have a lot to say about that moment.
Yeah, yeah.
But what's
Do you guys want like two different scores? Or
That's
just,
up to you.
up to you?
I think we're at a good place where like,
If you want to just go
this
back
is
to
the
the
last
score.
comedy, quote unquote,
It's
pick
'cause you
for a
can't
little
do that,
bit.
it's
So
just
we're gonna go
comedy.
back into.
That's why I was saying I'm gonna do it as a comedy, but I'm gonna be honest and
Yeah.
like it's a 3 or a 4 when it comes
Yeah,
to comedy.
I'm gonna be with you, Castro. I don't think I'm gonna give it
The comedy rating.
the comedy rating. I think I'm with you. I'm thinking because you're right. If I'm gonna give Good Will Hunting a comedy rating, it's not gonna be a 10.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a 4.
But and nobody's gonna rate it
You know
like
what
that
I'm saying?
normally, so that's why I wanted to
Yeah.
give both those
no,
perspectives.
it's good.
Yeah.
It's great that you did that.
Like,
Like
I don't want to do that.
we're going into like a, but we don't need to give it a comedy rating, right? It's back into this.
It's because I'm so
space.
biased, man. Because you were saying we're both such big fans of comedy.
Yeah.
Like the whole behind the scenes.
Yeah.
How do you get through
Absolutely.
a whole 10 minutes? How do they work on it?
Yeah.
So I can't just.
And
see
what's
it as
more
just
is,
a
by the
movie.
way, just on the director actor front, we worked on a film about stand-up comics and
Oh, yeah.
a love triangle between a career and
talking
working
about
on
writing
your career.
bad jokes and stuff.
Yeah, I
just because
mean,
they fit.
and by the way, there was one film I was referencing while we were making that picture, and there was a 48. The only film I was referencing was Funny People
Yeah.
in the making of
Yeah.
It was
of,
very,
you know, it's
very,
funny.
very interesting.
So like, I
actually.
think just also we connect on that level of like watching something like this. It's like
Absolutely.
we made a very mini version of this, but it was real.
But
you know, and
it's
it was,
because of
And
like
yeah.
the subject matter,
Yeah.
everything. I mean,
yeah. So I just wanted to toss that in there for people
Dude,
listening.
this guy,
like-
I want to do the 2, but I'm just too biased to this film. So
Yeah.
I'm just gonna rate it
give it the 1
together.
as a film.
That's just a film.
we need to get beer cozies,
I know
With
how.
little sweaters.
no, like the ones that actually keep the temperature. You know, 'cause it's fucking hot in here. My beer is like hot already.
It's already a fucking
What's
soup.
that score?
I just want to give it an 8.8.
8.8. 8.8
All
is a really good rating.
right. Yeah.
Because it had the whole emotion,
Yeah.
and drama, and
Yeah.
then the comedy, like you say, it's not a comedy. It's flirting with the line because
Yeah.
there is a lot of jokes in there.
There's a lot of great jokes.
Yeah.
But that wasn't the intention.
So yeah, I hate to do it. I'm just gonna give it one score,
8
one
point-
rating.
8.8.
8.8.
Fair.
Yeah,
Okay.
Completely fair.
strong for me.
Mr. Young.
Is my last name.
Mr. Young is your last name?
Oh no, just Young.
Oh, okay.
Mister's my father.
Why did you just put your phone against the air conditioner?
You're not ready to know.
You said now, Keith.
Yeah.
No, Keith.
No, Keith.
Now, rating on this one. This was your second time you said sing it, right?
Yeah, I had watched it shortly after we shot. You know what's funny? I saw it afterwards.
Oh,
Did you really?
wow.
Yeah, because he kept referencing.
I was
I was like,
obsessing over it.
yeah, you know what? I'm gonna watch it.
If you revisit, we might, because we own the rights, we might go into, if Austin can in the edit, throwing in clips from you know what's funny? Especially the comedy
yeah.
clips.
It'd be so funny if
and
we got
me
a copyright strike.
telling somebody like, I know, right? Against ourselves. And somebody telling like, and if we're able to sneak in a side-by-side for like 5 seconds of one of these comedy shots, I obsessed with Michael Head and telling him, he's my DP on this. Dude, I would probably pull up YouTube clips and like, this is how I want this shot. I want the audience, I want them to be so prevalent. We got as many extras as we could. We shouldn't even shoot this in a comedy club and it looked like a comedy club. So
They did.
it was my
The Rock House,
intention.
right?
Yeah, the Rock
yeah, we
House
shot it
Bar.
at a rock place.
Yeah, a rock. Yeah, a rock.
We
rock
have
and
an
roll.
early tower cast on You Know What's Funny, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure we did. I'm sure we did. So
Go
yeah,
rewatch that.
or rewatch that. But just like that side by side, like I stole these shots from this film. Like
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
Homage.
It'd
yeah,
be funny.
I
FBI.
paid homage for sure. I
Homage.
paid- I'm French, motherfucker. It's homage. No, but
What's your rating?
I absolutely paid
Do you
homage.
French
to this.
kiss though?
But no, thank you for bringing that up. That you saw it after we made a film,
Yeah,
and I was
yeah, that's
obsessing
cool.
over. This is how this film. This is the emotion this film has to have, and the tonality. And there was 2 films I was referencing. It was Funny People for 90% of it, and La La Land for the ending.
Yeah.
That was it. That was this is the emotional tonality that this film has.
It was
to carry.
funny because when we were watching it, even though I looked over to you and he was like, "You stole it. You
Yeah.
stole these shots."
What on the comedy bits, or what do you mean?
I think it was I'm trying to remember
When they
what-
were like on the Jeep, like on the hiking trail.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Oh yeah, because
I didn't think about that
They're
shot.
looking over and then they're having that like serious conversation. You know,
like
and
you
all that
fucked
kind
my
of-
roommate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I used that in 2 of my films. I used that in Ineffable for that final shot. And that's at night and the lights are, and then I used that for, you know what's funny, on the cliff and seeing
Yeah.
the skyline. And so, yeah, absolutely.
By the way, they're building a house on that lot.
I know,
Oh, they're
dude.
building
But
a
you know
house.
what? Ever since we shot on that, we knew the owner was doing something. Remember?
I drove by the other day.
Because we
and
got
they're
in
like,
touch with the owner and like,
I drove by the other day and there's like building a house. It
That's
looks like a
sad.
nice, expensive house though.
well, maybe they'll let us shoot there.
Yeah.
Rating.
So it's because you can't rate it like as a comedy and a film separate.
You don't
It's-
think so?
No, because the more I was thinking about it, the more we were watching it, I think this is only the second or third movie I've seen where it's like about stand up. The only other one I can think of is The Big Sick.
Yeah, The Big Sick.
And
And,
The
by
Big
the way,
Sick-
The Big
Think of
Sick, again, if this film doesn't exist, I don't think The Big Sick
Yeah.
exists. Even on the comedy front, on the dramedy front.
But
Yeah.
because when you think about it, it's naturally comedy because you're talking about comics.
Yeah.
But there's still the drama behind it.
Yeah,
and
the
it's-
heart.
It's hard to like because like you guys say too, the jokes they're very raw. They're not
Yeah.
they're not intentional like Napoleon Dynamite, Airplane, everything we've covered.
yeah.
So it's a lot more organic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even like to the raw aspect you're talking about at the very beginning when Seth Rogen's character, what's his name again?
Ira.
Ira.
Ira Wright.
When
Or
Ira's
Ira Wiener, depending on.
when Ira's making jokes about Adam Sandler's character at the very beginning where he's like, "Oh, I think that was him blowing his brains out in the back."
Yeah.
And
You guys
you
joining
have
him?
this-
Save me some Kool-Aid.
you have
Just
this
do it.
weird feeling of like, dude, if only you knew
Yeah, what he's going through.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. If only you knew what he was
And
going
you know what?
through.
Somebody touched on it. I was reading an
Yeah.
article about that moment, and somebody touched on like the saddest thing about that whole scene was right on what the audience knows is, dude, don't do that. He's gonna go fucking kill himself in his car. The last line Ira says on stage is like he gives a list of like, yeah, there's gonna be this moment. He's gonna go shoot himself, and we're gonna drink the Kool-Aid, and everybody's gonna. And then he says, and then Robin Williams is just gonna come and slit his wrist on the stage here. He said that, And that obviously didn't age well. 5 years later, Robin Williams died, And again, Robin Williams was just a sad, but it's the sad clown thing.
Yeah.
Right? It's the sad comic. And that's who Robin Williams was. He was the best stand-up performer, everything, but beyond the the joke. He was
I'm just gonna put like one little anecdote.
Yeah.
So dumb. But there's an album. It's called Abandoned Luncheonette by Hall & Oates. Not a whole lot of people talk about it.
I get laid. I don't know.
No. I get girl. I fuck girls. I don't.
I fuck girls, Tom.
But go on with
That's where that line comes from too, by the way.
Yeah,
I
know.
catch that.
Oh yeah, I heard it. No, it's Abandoned Luncheonette. I love it. Second to last song on the album is called Laughing Boy, and it deals with the topics of how it's really interesting how like the funniest people are also the most depressed people.
Absolutely.
Because it's their way of processing their own turmoil and pain and all that kind of stuff. And I was thinking about that song and thinking about like the moments, especially like when Sandler's doing his songs where it's touching on the fact about how you're so busy trying to make other people laugh because you can't make yourself laugh, and that whole
the dad thing.
Yeah, it's like a tortured artist thing, but it's so interesting how that's like a recurring theme in comedy and comedians, and you hearing comedians that like are super funny, but then it's like, oh man, they're going through some demons.
And it's also a behind the scenes on the rich and famous, right? Like the first thing you guys said was like, man, I'd hate being fucking famous. I could love it in the beginning. But then walking out to this,
especially like
like at the very beginning of the film, where
when
like
he's
anywhere he walks,
and then after he hears like you have like a rare form of like leukemia, then it's like people are still coming up to you like,
and you have
dude,
to
you're
still
hilarious,
pretend,
and you still have to be there.
And by the way, that we were reading in the credits, I didn't even know this until it clicked for me when you said it that Dan Harmon is one of those paparazzis.
Yeah.
Dan Harmon, the creator of Community, the creator of Rick and Morty, the creator of the Harmon 8, which is a writing technique I used and implemented my own writing. I mean, this guy's a genius, and he just played some reporter for Judd for fun, I guess.
But I just wanted to touch on that, but not to detract.
Yeah, no, you're good.
The rating.
No, like I guess before I get to it, like the reason I bring up his other like stand-up movies is you can't grade them as comedy and as a film
It's
because
really rough.
because the comedy is part of the film. It's not the film. That makes sense.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, but as a film, I give it a strong like 8.9.
Okay.
It just had a lot to it. Man.
Yeah, it really did.
Interesting how I'm the lowest one on the rating chart so far.
I think
it's
because
you still resent the film because it made you feel feelings.
Yeah, I think that is true.
I just
But
want to cry.
I do think mine is a little higher because I do. It's not as big of a nostalgia as it is for like Carlos.
Yeah.
But when I watch it back, I just think about us being on set for it's funny.
Yeah,
I was just super impressed by it.
But yeah, I give it a strong
So-
8.9.
The Final Man, up to bat. What's your rating? You picked the film.
I'm at
with the slickest hair.
what are you, Doug Allen?
What are you? Stupid.
You just went to a Taylor Swift concert. That's
Victory!
I'm right there in the neighborhood of you in Austin. I think I'll go in the middle for the sake of the argument, because I'm gonna do it to myself, Castro. I comparatively to other amazing cinema, it doesn't, but I still would stick it at that 8.8. I'd still stick it to that 8.8 range
For the writing, for the even
everything.
the acting,
for everything.
God,
Like
geez.
if God forbid I never make a masterpiece that holds up in a Criterion collection, if I made movies like this for the rest of my life, I'd be happy.
Yeah.
I'd be completely happy making films like this. So for the reasons of just everything and how layered you guys are at, how layered this film is, how nostalgic it is for me, how inspirational it is for me, and just how much there is to talk about a film like this. This, I'll say it, is the definition of a hidden gem. For me, that people like don't appreciate and don't
you
care
wouldn't
for.
think, right? Because
It has star-studded. That's my ultimate dream, right, as a filmmaker, which our favorite storytellers that have survived the waves of filmmaking, because it's not an easy thing to do. Our Nolans, our Scorseses, our Wes's, who have gotten to a point in their career, Guy Ritchie, have gotten to a point in their career.
Are you sure you want to say Guy Ritchie?
Yeah, because I think he's there too. They've gotten to a point in their careers where they can do whatever the fuck they want.
Yeah.
And still get the budgets for it.
Wes Anderson.
Man, imagine
Yeah,
getting to that.
Wes Anderson can still get the budgets,
He just needs to pay
and he
his-
still can do
pay
whatever
his
the fuck he
actors.
wants.
Dude, he
So-
just got away with putting a claymation alien in the middle of a film.
yeah,
Dude, and then his shorts are coming out.
right.
Hey, what happened to that city? Like, what happens after they finish shooting? Like, they just tear it apart?
No, okay. Sorry.
Sorry, I
sorry,
just
I
not
got
thinking
excited.
that.
No, yeah.
Quick little side note, in case nobody else knows.
Look it up.
So before tearing it down, originally the role played by Steve Carell
Okay.
was going to go to Bill Murray. But Bill Murray actually had COVID during the time of the shooting because he's been in every single Wes Anderson film.
Exactly.
Which I did the narrator. Bit,
Yeah.
no?
No. So what
They couldn't
happened?
hold out or something?
No, so then what they did is that they decided to just because they really wanted him to be on, they made a fake trailer for the movie in the styles of a 1950s trailer. But Bill Murray was interviewing Jason Schwartzman and saying like, oh, so I hear you're making a movie or a play known as Asteroid City. How do you feel about it? And they did that scene really quickly because Bill Murray came to the set right before they tore it down. So yeah, the town's been torn down.
I like
It
that.
was in Spain somewhere, believe it or not. Like they shot all that in Spain
Yeah.
because of land was perfectly flat. They built the mountains.
Wes has made it very clear that he wants to make his films in Europe from now on.
Oh, what?
Wes Anderson lives in Paris.
Oh, okay,
he doesn't
okay.
come back to the States very often anymore.
I didn't know that.
He's
really
just,
did not
I don't know.
that
He's
he
just,
was more of a...
He loves the culture and the
more
film
of a-
scene and all
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. Like a lot of his films are influenced by like
French cinema.
Yeah, French cinema, European cinema. I mean,
Indian cinema.
Indian cinema. Like I saw just a picture for one of his shorts that's coming out.
Yeah.
It looks exactly like a what's his name? We just did it for the Apu trilogy. Sayaji Ray.
Sayaji Ray.
Yeah,
Oh,
it looks exactly like a Sayaji Ray film. So I mean, yeah,
He's already
his-
on the next one? Goddamn.
Yeah,
he did
his-
two. He
his-
did back to
I
back.
think he did 4.
No, I mean he did the shorts and he did Asteroid.
Yeah.
Oh.
So this year he's releasing a lot. I'm so
Yeah,
excited.
yeah.
But anyway, not to detract.
No, yeah, but that's what I mean. Like these guys are in the point of their career where they can make whatever they want and still get the budgets for it. If there's, sure, the accolades are nice and having Oscars and being placed next to these peers, kind of like the George Simmons character, right? Like if I could work with my peers, that's all amazing, right? But to
Yeah.
get to a place in your career where I can make a $75 million dramedy, isn't that like the
Yeah.
dream? Like,
I mean,
isn't that like I can get
The dream to tell stories that you want to tell.
freely.
Yeah.
Freely without the limitations of a studio, without the limitations of, okay, I'm giving you 75 mil, so you control the budget. What are we doing? How are we using it? And then just to cast the amazing cast I can cast, have the cameos I want in there, tell a great story, and like that's a huge dream, right? So
Yeah.
I just connect on that on a bunch of different levels, both in front of the audience seat and behind the director's camera, you know. So yeah, I just connect on it. So 8.8 is up there for me. I'll reference this film a lot on the hidden gem front, on the comedy front. And I'll say just the stupid little jokes of like using RZA, the leader of the Wu-Tang Clan, in the Chuck roll at the deli, like Ato's my lotto, you know, like this
Yeah, yeah.
motherfucker is just. It's great to use people like that in moments like that, and the comedic elements that I still think about with this movie. So
Yeah.
so it's great. It's just great hidden gem. It's something that I think is going to stand the test of time. It's something
Is
that
that a hidden gem?
yeah.
Or would you say more of an uncut gem?
Ah,
Gaslo, they
I
always
always
get set up for you all the time.
Yeah.
And you never do it.
No, no,
Like-
you-
fuck.
he
Short-term
crosses the
memory,
bridge.
Yeah,
Just-
yeah. It's
But,
just you can't get past the troll.
Yeah.
Dude, I'll use my shoe or something.
You know what? But
No, but I just wanted to touch on one more thing about that.
Yeah.
Like, I think this is on the Mount Rushmore of Judd Apatow films,
yeah.
and it's gonna I think live forever on the Judd list. Like,
When
Judd
we talk
is.
about the quintessential films for a director
Yeah,
and
if
their
this-
filmography.
If this film didn't exist,
Yeah.
I wouldn't
Nice.
respect Judd as much as I do.
Because then it'd be like, oh, okay, you
Damn.
just do comedies
Yeah.
and you're fun and all
Because
that.
when we
but-
talked about Superbad, you guys knew my what warmth and happiness I feel for that film, but it didn't surpass this for me. You know what I'm saying? Like that, I just don't think Judd is looked at as this quality storyteller outside of the comedy world.
I can
And
see that.
this validates him for me. You
It
know,
went a whole different, like-
this and like I reference King of Staten Island a lot and stuff like that. That's if Judd made more films like that, like he could be sitting at the table with guys like the Wesses and the Martys and stuff like that. So,
is there any like comedy director that would be allowed?
Yeah, we touched
Mel
on
Brooks.
this a little bit.
Mel Brooks.
Yeah, Mel Brooks. Like,
Mel Brooks can.
True. Oh, that's very good.
You can play jump rope with that line.
Yeah.
You know, these guys, and again, like the guys that are transitioning into that, guys like we talked about the guy, the director of Joker, Todd Phillips. Transitioning into that role. Adam McKay transitioning to that role.
Adam McKay.
You know, so I don't think they're quite there yet.
Yeah. I was gonna say like
I don't think they're
that
quite there
one was
yet.
good.
Obviously,
for sure.
yeah, Mel Brooks, but I think Judd
it's coming
he's
around.
a quality storyteller. He's a quality storyteller because of this, you know. But I'd much rather pay attention to his choices as a director with this kind of stuff than his comedic attempts.
Even though that's like,
it's so sacrilegious, right? It's so like sacrilegious. It's what he's really good at. But look at the guy who grew up with him, man. Like Ben Stiller. Ben Stiller is a great comedy actor, but I'd prefer Ben Stiller as a dramatic director. You know, seeing The Secret Life of Walter Mitty or being in roles like the Meyerowitz stories for Noah Baumbach.
Because you get used to him watching those two types of people.
Yeah, the joke becomes old, right? It becomes stale. But when you see him direct a masterpiece like Secret Life of Walter Mitty, when I see Judd direct a masterpiece like Funny People, I want them to I want that for them because I know that's what they want. You know,
and that's a couple of things come into play. I mean, it's them using their strengths. I think Judd has a lot of strengths when it comes to comedy, and an interesting way to play into that is the emotional tension that's built up with a bad joke.
Yeah,
because we see a lot of moments early on, especially with Seth Rogen, where we're listening to him and we're like, dude, like, how do you think that's funny? Like, what are you doing? And it's all the things that comics I bet would never want you to see. I think every comic talks about.
You have to have balls, dude. You have to have balls to present a bad joke.
Yeah,
you have to have
compared to
and then to know, like, I mean, I was talking to Ricky the other day.
Yeah.
And how we talk about this whole notion of like, you know, people say like you're funny and all that, but like, do you ever worry that you're not funny? And I think it's so scary, especially writing for comedy, because you're writing for an audience that you're not even going to be able to see, and you're hoping that somebody somewhere is going to look at the exact thing that you put out and they're going to laugh. And
stand-up comedy is immediate, right?
This is the
you either
beauty.
get the laugh or you don't.
Did you see what Adam Sandler was doing? And I bet you that's what he does in real life.
Yeah.
You don't even have to tell him the whole joke you wrote.
Right.
You just got to give him the premise. Like, all right, I'll finish that.
I'll get that.
Because he's already perfected that
Yeah,
craft.
yeah. No, and what I was gonna say is like,
and they know how to add their flair to it, but it's just like comics.
They just
you know?
need that little spark, I guess.
What Judd allowed the actors to do, is Adam Sandler wrote his own jokes. Rogan's wrote his own. Any stand-up wrote Jonah Hill, Audrey Plaza, they all wrote their own jokes. So I adopted that in What's Funny, and I told them, and we were on a time crunch. This was a 48-hour film. I still took that risk and told Castro and told Valerie, like, you guys are gonna riff. I gave you guys contextual lines. This is what I want the joke to kind of be about.
That's why I had to go outside.
I want you guys to roll with it.
Flirt with it.
Yeah.
What about the monkey on a train line? Wasn't that one?
That was one of them.
That was improvised?
No. Well, no. Well, I wrote contextual lines, and since I knew that that's how the film was going to wrap, I put that in the dialogue between the actors. For sure, yeah, those are the contextual lines I'm talking about. But on stage as a comic, I wanted there to be the only safety net that the actors had was, this is what I want the joke to be about. After that, you're on your own.
How did that feel?
I want to say, I don't want to sound like, oh shit, but I felt kind of comfortable because I've seen a lot of comedy. So I was just like, I just got to mimic this. If I had like a day to go over these jokes and try to make them whatever, but I was just like, all right, let's roll with this. I went outside.
So much more organic. It's so much more like Gus. I remember when he does this.
Once you're up there.
It's a cool
Even
little
though
art.
you know that the people there are just supposed to laugh. Like, you know.
It's a cool
There was one bitch like, sorry.
What happened?
There's one person who.
There was one person who was like, I don't know where to laugh.
Yeah.
They said that?
You're an actress?
No, but you know what? I think what I love about that is that
you grow.
That fed the gamble paid off for me as a director. The gamble paid off for me as a director. The gamble paid off for me as an actor because Gastro's character in that film is a stand-up comic who's competing with his girlfriend, who's a better stand-up comic.
Yeah.
And that that arc for me is when you see Gastro's first joke on stage, he makes this really good choice as an actor of like, he's telling a story about a girl, his girlfriend, his partner. Like, man, like girls are the complete opposite of this. They'll either get really mad or the bunny thing, right? They're little bunnies and you want to feed them. That conscious choice that Castro made of like taking a breath of like, there's days where I'm like, like you do something like that, like
that just from watching comedy.
That authenticated it. I couldn't have directed Castro to do that. But him being on stage, feeling the natural like energy of rhythms and of I have to tell this story and make people laugh through it.
And I think that's kind of a pro to like the film, and what makes what's funny impressive is that getting people who have been on the stage, not just like actors who they've seen comedy, but people who have like done stand up. Yeah. They got their mannerisms. They know how to work the crowd, especially like
if Castro didn't appreciate comedy as much as he does,
if he didn't know that I did that,
it wouldn't have worked. But and with Valerie just being a stage actor and not like letting her, or as they say, her freak flag fly for that role, it wouldn't have worked.
Yeah.
That physical comedy that Valerie brought, because she's a stage actor and she knows, like, I know what immediate response I have to get from the crowd. On the surface level, Gastro's character has more substance in his jokes.
Yeah.
But her character has more physical comedy that gets the immediate laughs.
Yeah.
So again, like, dude, like, it was one of those things where, like, I'm going to gamble. I'm going to pull my actors aside while Head's testing the shot and setting lights, while Austin's getting the extras ready. I'm going to bring my actors to the side and say, like, this is what the joke needs to be about. This is where you have to start the joke, and this is where you have to end the joke. Anything in between, have fun. We're going to keep the camera rolling.
And that's where I knew, like, he knows what I know he knows, and he knows me.
Yeah.
Like, it was like perfect.
It's this perfect synergy thing. And I think, again, it's just the sets, the me and Castro thing. It's the Sandler, Judd Apatow thing. Like, you know his voice, and you know their sensibilities. It pays off, man. It pays off. It pays off a lot.
Because, I mean, you could see the authenticity everywhere, the authenticity in that when anybody went up on the stage, it didn't look like when you're watching it, it doesn't look like, oh, you're acting like, you're in this scene and that's what happens. It's like, oh no, you're up there.
You brought up the Seth Rogen thing, which I think is beautiful. Like, other than knowing that this joke wasn't going to land as hard as Valerie's joke for the beginning, because that's the arc. Other than knowing that, Gastro's arc in the beginning is like, not laughing yet. Not laughing yet.
Yeah, it's exactly.
And that's the point, right?
Exactly.
With Ira, it's like, I can see the potential, but I'm not laughing yet. I'm not laughing yet.
Okay.
But then we get to a place where he's like,
you're laughing at his jokes.
He's in a full theater and he's talking about the Will Smith bit, right? Like, I know that Tom Cruise, David Beckham, and Will Smith touch the tips of their dicks. And that's because that's a rich people problem. Like, he landed that. He landed that plane successfully, and by the end of the arc, Castro lands the plane, successfully. So that was
oh my god! I wanted to touch a little bit on Seth Rogen's character and how much appreciation I had for him, especially during the scenes when they're at his ex-girlfriend's house. And oh my god,
his vulnerability, right?
Yeah, because when you cut to him, he's a mirror of the audience, which is so impressive when you see in a film.
What do you mean?
Dude, when Adam Sandler's starting to flirt up with his ex, even though he's like, oh, I didn't know you had kids. Right. And like, oh, I didn't know that you just like were here because the husband's away on a trip. And then you're starting to feel like, oh shoot, like I get that for you. Yeah. This feels like, oh dude, I'm finding love again. I'm gonna have a family. But no, you're about to be a homewrecker. Yeah. And I don't want to support that. And I don't know how to
what I think is funny about I don't know if these choices as an actor was prevalent for you. We didn't get that far in our 48 to be able to extend that character arc. Yeah. But if we did, if we were shooting a feature, then we probably could have. But I thought Seth Rogen or Ira's mannerisms of like, when he's running, I know it's a small moment, but it's so important for his character. When he's like, when they're coming back from the airport and they know that the husband's there already, he's gonna beat this dude's ass. He's running like a little girl. Yeah, like he's like the nerd coming back to him. Like his confidence is completely stripped. He's vulnerable. Wow. Like that again. Like I don't know if that was a choice as it, but I think Seth Rogen. This is part of Seth Rogen's genius, man. Like Seth Rogen had already played the strong leads in strong comedy leads. Where for him to play second banana to Sandler, and that dude, that's an actor. That is an actor.
Really
the guy that could play that, not overshadow Sandler, but at the same time service the character of like starting out comic. I don't have my confidence, and then I have the biggest confidence in the world, and I can play a 2,000 seat theater. And then I'm back at Otto's serving macaroni salad. Like, dude, that's an actor. Like, that is an actor. He really impressed me. Like, Seth Rogen as an actor impressed me.
And this was in 2009, so he wasn't like, when was Knocked Up?
It was Knocked Up was 05, 04. So, you know, I mean, so he's right past that, right? What I think happened, did you sneeze? Bless you.
Bless you.
What I think happened with Rogen is he fell in love with writing and directing so much and producing that he didn't explore more of these roles, and I wish he would have. Yeah.
What did you guys think of Jonah Hill? He was a little rough on the edges.
Yeah. It was fun.
You know,
it was funny, but he was just like...
Well, I like the apartment, and it's similar. Why I like if you watch The Big Sick, that when they're with their group of friends, there's an interesting dynamic that happens, and this interesting game that they're all playing, where they all have the same goal. Yeah. But I think especially like when you look at like the comedy scene, there's some people that just
couldn't agree more.
They hit up and they're on a good streak, and then other people that it's like they're the friend of somebody who's like getting gigs because they're actually funny, and then it's like
I couldn't agree more. And like remember you know this in comedy class, or at least with comedians in the late 90s, early 2000s. Yeah, the goal was to get a sitcom for whatever fucking reason. Yeah, good stand-up comics were getting bad sitcoms.
What is it called? A development
deal.
Yeah,
right.
Deal, yeah.
With NBC or with whatever. That was, even that reference was dated before this movie. Absolutely. Like that wasn't really the goal anymore. That probably ended right around the George Lopez show mark. Yeah. Right. So like, but the friends are like. They filmed the apartment scene in these famous lofts in LA on the corner of Melrose, which is a very popular street, Melrose and Larchmont. In front of Larchmont Lofts. That's what the building is called, and it's this almost like what do they call it? Passing the torch of this requirement for an LA comedian or an LA actor to live in these types of apartments in LA, right? And have 3 roommates and have like that's a tell to like Judd, Ben, and Adam living together as comedians, you know. When I think about that, and then we see Sarah Silverman, you know, and the female comic perspective of like Audrey Plaza, and maybe that was the young Silverman in that mix and that type of thing. So like that whole thing is a very straight parallel to me when I think like, am I competing with my filmmaker friends, or are we giving each other the right advice? Yeah. If I get a shitty sitcom, am I gonna hire my friend, and you know what I mean? Like, or am I gonna be the rebel and pursue my own thing and do the thing? You know,
it's
so
such
like,
a weird place, but it's so authentic to the scene and authentic to that area, especially like when they look at like opportunities to write jokes or work together. It's like who are we helping out and all that. I mean, it's
an organic part of the process.
We can see it more in like The Big Sick. There's like that one guy who's been doing comedy just as long as everybody else, but he's not getting gigs, and then he has to kind of just like say, hey,
fun fact
I guess
about
I'm
that.
gonna stay here and you guys move on.
Fun fact about that, the Aziz Ansari character, Randy. Randy is the character, because I guess I didn't put the pieces together. I didn't like Aziz Ansari for a long time growing up because of the Randy character. Because that's the only basis of comparison I had for him. And then when I paid attention to his stand-up, I was like, holy shit, he's good.
He's really good.
That Aziz character is a clear example of what comics think is like cheap acts. Like, this is what people fucking like?
Wow,
like, what are we doing? Like, why is Mencia getting a show? And, you know what I mean? Like, it's that type of thing where Aziz is a great actor and a great comedian and a great writer. So much so that Judd was going to develop a spin-off movie about Randy.
About Randy?
Yeah, that was in the works. It's still in the works, as far as I know.
When I saw his character, I was like, man, he looks like a young, hungry comedian.
Yeah,
so I like this vibe.
No, and
you know who he reminds me of? He reminds me of Banya in Seinfeld.
Oh, yeah.
He reminds me of Banya.
Fucking Banya.
Like, fucking Banya. Like, he's so annoying and obnoxious, but somehow he's getting
Jerry,
gigs.
can you believe that bit hit?
yeah.
It's cold, Jerry.
Yeah,
it's cold, Jerry.
The suit doesn't count. Like that's banya, man.
All the soup doesn't count.
You know, so the banya, that's a decent
Also, it's interesting that whole perspective because I think a lot of creative industries, it's the big fish in a small pond syndrome. Especially that whole thing where it's like he's making the crowd absolutely like hysterical, but then you're not gonna be seeing him like in the next stage and all that kind of stuff. Like his act works, and that's such an interesting place that I think in a lot of creative areas where, I mean,
you see the potential. You see the potential.
Not to point fingers, but sometimes we feel that where it's like, oh man, look at them. Like in our local scene, it's like, oh, these guys are.
So people are responding to.
Yeah, like they're.
But then we realize,
again.
like, so I think Austin brought up this analogy earlier. Like, if those comics, if we're in high school, those comics are the jocks right now, and we're the nerds that are going to end up doing something really special with our lives, right? Like we're going to succeed in our craft because we care more about just getting a cheap laugh. In all creative.
What about a cheap trick?
It exists. He's right here.
Yeah, they're down all meta.
Welcome back.
I'm over here.
So just funny people, man. Funny people is something very special.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a special film to talk about, a special film to watch because, like with all films, sometimes it can be really flashy and it's super impressive on a technical front, but other times it's just a really good story that will connect on so many human levels that you keep coming back to it, and it didn't need to be overly flashy or overly technical for you to feel like, wow, I really connect with that. I know one that I've enjoyed a lot and connected with a lot, similar to this, is like it's with the British guy. What's his name? Ricky Gervais. I showed you guys.
Yeah, it's a great picture.
Ghost Town.
Ghost Town.
It's called Ghost Town, and it's
a great picture.
I thought it was super fun and all that, but I always knew like, man, I don't think it's ever gonna make the podcast. I don't think it's something we'll ever talk about because, again, it's one of those
I think we should.
Yeah,
I think
it's one of those where like the themes are there that I'm going to connect with forever. I rewatch it like at least once a year because I just find something special about it, and that's where I thought like this one lied for me, where it's something that I'm gonna want to keep. That's a good comparison.
Like this this is my my Ghost Town for sure. I think it's terrific picture.
So I recommend everybody watch it. I think it's such an interesting way to end off Comedy Month, and I'm glad we did it. So,
guys, so you want to play a game on the podcast?
Yeah, let's play a game. So have you mentioned it again? How do you say it?
You came up with the rules. Why are you asking us?
If you repeat the name, you're out. All right, so we're gonna try to name as many cameos going counterclockwise.
Counterclockwise. Okay, so starting with who?
With me.
Okay.
Eminem.
Ray Romano.
Oh, we're going one by one?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so remember what they say.
Oh, we're going clockwise.
Yeah, Eminem. Ray Romano.
Counterclockwise.
Ray Romano.
Norm Macdonald.
Damn.
Dave Attell.
Damn.
You can't repeat him.
Fuck.
You're out. Fuck. Andy Dick.
Bo Burnham.
Damn.
Where was Bo in his career?
I know how.
This was before Vine.
I think it's
no, this was right at
Vine, because if this came out 2009, Vine was big.
I think it's the start of his comedy specials.
Maybe YouTube, right?
Because I think it's the start of his comedy specials.
Yeah,
because
I would argue that too.
Yeah, I think in that era, that's when my friend started showing me a lot of his stuff.
Dude, Vine didn't launch till 2013.
Yeah, no, but that's what I'm saying. Like that's why he's saying like Bo got big off YouTube songs, comedy songs on his YouTube channel where he would do them in his attic. It's a funny thing, and then he did comedy specials.
Oh wow.
Bo was big before Vine, for sure.
That's where I first found him.
Yeah.
All right, continue the game.
Aziz Ansari.
No, you're already out, dude.
Dog.
Yes.
No.
RZA.
Damn.
Justin Long.
Justin
That's
Long
right.
does come out. Holy shit. Oh man, I'm trying to think of the black comedian. It has like one line in the film, but George
Méliès.
No, not George Méliès. George. Shit. What's his name?
I can't even think of one right now. Fuck.
George. He was sitting at the comics table with these guys. He was. You know what's funny?
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
I forget his name.
Anyways, I'll think of somebody else. Hold on. Slow it down.
My next one's gonna piss you off.
What?
Go.
I think you lost already and I lost already.
Yeah, maybe.
Go for it, both of you.
James Taylor.
Dan Harmon.
Damn. 1, 2, 3, 3.5.
Damn it!
4.5.
All right, you won.
Damn it!
I'm just sorry. Suck it.
Nah, that doesn't count.
You repeated
You lost. You lost.
What? No,
I won.
No,
I won.
you said it after you got kicked out.
No, I won.
Either way,
I won.
take
I won.
that.
Let
Great
the Austin
cameos
Time
in
show
this
that I won. In fact,
My
what I'm
rating
going to do
went up.
is I'm going to mute the Laos
rating went
camera
up.
really quick. Your mic's muted. I'm letting anybody know that I won. Thank you.
My rating went up while I was being interrupted by Austin Long. I'm sorry. I mean Young.
Me, you, outside playground, 427.
I can't even count, bro. So good luck finding me.
Rating went up
8.7.
from a what?
8.5.
8.7.
Because I mean, I just think this film has a lot of merit. I feel it has a lot of charm, especially the more I talk about it with you guys, and that's why I love that we can have conversation about all kinds of film. Because when you look at the perspectives and the care that went into it, and especially a little bit of the history, it's
Yeah, for
dynamic.
sure.
And I mean,
For
it's
sure.
gone. To me, this is something I definitely want to keep revisiting, and see how it ages.
Sure.
So yeah, 8.7. Really good pick. As a comedy, it's still a 3 or 4 because again, we talked about those elements, but I think it's in a very interesting place as far as I'm glad we're kind of ending off our comedy season by talking about something like this because there's a whole world of comedy besides just pure comedy.
Which is, by the way, in my thesis, if this comedy month was my thesis for comedy belonging in its own realm, this is kind of proof of that. I think comedy belongs in its own special universe that we can't fathom or compare to cinema. Legitimately, if comedy and the lines start getting blurred with films like this, right?
Yeah.
The lines start getting blurred.
I mean, not to make you sound like a genius or anything, because I'm not trying to, just fan the flame. But you look at the statement from your film, it's funny, and how dynamic that all is in trying to narrow in on comedy and good comedy and what makes something genuinely funny and what makes something genuinely not funny. And is there a science?
By the
to
way,
it?
the intention with that title, you mean the title, right?
Yeah, but I'm over it.
No, but the intention with that title was for you to read it however you see fit. The immediate thing is
funny.
The immediate thing is what we say as a turn of phrase, right? You know what's funny? That's the immediate term, but the other side of that coin is the arc, right? You know what's funny, as in them pointing the finger to each other.
You know
what's funny?
What's
Aww.
Think about putting emphasis on every single different word in that thing, and it's still working.
You know what?
You know what? Funny.
Quick thing on that.
You know what's funny?
Yeah.
What's
You know what's funny?
You don't. Go on.
No, man, I forgot the name of the actor. It's the guy who, Christopher Walken, that he was going to introduce Foo Fighters to their, I think, inauguration in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame or something like that.
Okay.
Or some kind of ceremony. And Christopher comes up and he says, "Hey, I gotta ask, where's the emphasis in Foo Fighters?" And then he's like, he's like, I had to do it because, I'd kill myself if I didn't. And he's like, oh yeah, the emphasis is on Foo. so he's like, and now presenting Foo Fighters, and it's so funny,
great.
where the emphasis can kind of lie. Anyway, I had a good time. Did you?
Do you ever think about not doing stand up? Because
I think about the fact that I'm not funny and it keeps me awake at night very often.
Because sometimes I think he can do stand up and then he just says shit like that, and I'm like,
I need you to stop saying odd shit.
yeah.
Odd shit. I said it weird right now.
Anybody else's rating change?
Damn it.
I think mine stays.
Mine went up 2. I'll put it to 9 just because it reminded me of it. You know what's funny?
And you were in it.
Yeah, dude.
And it's stroking
the
your
whole conversation of how
ego.
He took a lot out of this one.
That's
You're stroking
the symbol.
his what?
Yeah, that's a symbol for ego is actually a rod for some reason.
Can you do it again?
Yeah. I don't want to do it often because I don't know if my mom's going to watch the episode.
Don't worry, we're gonna clip just that.
So yeah,
and-
I'll switch to 9.0. Strong.
Wow.
Did your rating change?
No, I think it stays the same.
Yeah. I'll toss it out at an 8.9.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
What else are you tossing?
These hands.
What are you, a cat?
Yeah.
What are you, a kitty cat?
Yeah, he was a cat.
Call me kitty cat.
Now
Kitty
kids,
cat
I'm like a
style.
cat.
That's the technique. The time.
I'm like a sexy cat.
Wait,
calm
how'd
down.
you feel
Cage.
about seeing Jason Schwartzman not in a West
I'm
film?
about to say, yeah.
True.
Ah man, he plays. It's just Jason Schwartzman.
Yeah.
Like especially like they had that punch in where it was just his face filling the frame, and Wes uses that shot so much. So I'm like, is this just the Jason Schwartzman like frame?
Yeah,
Because it's just like him with his eyes. Like, so what do you mean, guys? And it's just, I don't know. You just
Word.
Word.
We chilling.
We chill.
stop saying chilling, and also stop saying what's up.
You know,
and
man,
roll.
fuck you for fucking Daisy. And then just, where did that come from?
Just random.
I
Yeah.
love
Fuck you for-
that scene.
Fuck Daisy, man.
I think one of the funniest things was when he's like, "Yeah, man, like, why would you have sex with Daisy?" And he's like, "I don't know," and like leans on the bed, and he's all like laying down,
dude,
and
yes.
like cuddling up next to him. And
I
he's
kind of
like,
hope I get the role in
yeah.
the Tobey Maguire movie. Yeah,
Yeah, it's really messed up what happened,
Like, I
huh?
hope I get the role.
yeah, and he's all like snuggled up to him for no reason.
But I think that like Jonah Hill's funniest bit, aside from like the really funny bits that he's like even the ones on stage, like hurt my balls on my dick talking the other day, and my balls were like, "Are you okay? Does he hurt you?" No, but like the bits of like I just came back from seeing the new Harry Potter movie. Harry's getting old. They should call him Harold Potter. And Hermione's got some nice titties.
It's so random.
It's so random. But then we get into like them arguing outside about when he discovers that George asked him the right jokes, and he's like, "I know, I just wanted something for myself." No, fuck you, Ira. Like,
By the way, is Ira a dick for doing that?
yes, absolutely. But by the same token, Jonah's character was getting spots at the improv,
Which is why.
and like he wasn't.
And
fighting
eventually
for-
he gets on, yo, teach.
yeah, like, but he wasn't trying to get Ira spots. He wasn't trying.
Yeah,
You know what I
that's
mean? Like,
true,
he
I
wasn't
guess.
trying to help him out.
They're
as a
just
comic.
all friends because they have the same goal, but it doesn't mean that they're all like.
It
The
is
only time you
competitive.
see,
Yeah.
But it's
that,
fucked up because he asked for both.
No, yeah, it is.
Yeah,
No,
that is
It wasn't
true.
like, yo, you know anybody else?
Yeah, that's a
It
good
was-
point.
that
That's
was
a
what,
good
like,
point.
No, but then also, what is it called? Like, you see that genuinely there is some merit to their friendship, especially like when you see Jonah Hill being like, "Hey, well, it sounds like a really good story. Can you tell me?" He's like, "Yeah, just wake me up at 2 and I'll tell you the story."
Yeah,
'Cause-
it is a friendship
but it's
thing.
like,
Yeah,
hey,
it's
do
a
you,
friendship.
All right,
do you
love
want
one
to
is all
talk
like,
about it?
I think I'm gonna forgive him today.
Yeah, it's so Jonah Hill,
Yeah.
right? Like that. His role in This Is the End, where like Jay Burrows shows like, I could see through this piece of shit who's always
Yeah.
nice all the time, but he's like, yeah, man, like I'm Jonah Hill. Like that's kind of his role in this. Like, I think I'm gonna forgive him today. You know, like this. And then, by the way, I love that they referenced the obvious in that era, which was like Sandler's character being like, "Hey, so double X version of you." Is he like
Sure.
all those references
Yeah.
of like, hey, fatter friend of yours, like, or a fatter
Oh my
version
God.
of you, or whatever? That's what everybody was thinking.
No,
Like
and
Jonah
then-
Hill and Seth
It
Rogen.
was at the times for sure.
That's what
I also
everybody was
love.
thinking.
I love every joke when Jonah Hill's like, "You got less funny when you got skinny, man."
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's so stupid.
So there's something funny about an unfit man, or what is it?
Yeah.
Which is very true.
Oh,
Colin.
did he say something along the lines of like, you wouldn't want Jean-Claude Van Damme or something like that to be like telling jokes on a stage? Like,
Yeah.
oh, they were talking about like sex appeal for
Yeah.
people. Yeah.
Yeah, like you look fucking skinny weird. But what does he say? But yeah, all those bits are funny.
Yeah.
Anyways, funny people.
Funny
Thank you for
people.
sharing it.
Yeah.
I know you were nervous.
Yeah, I hadn't seen it in a while, so
Yeah.
it just reminded me a lot. Like,
You make me nervous.
Oh, Billy.
Does anybody else feel like just watching You Know What's Funny now?
Oh, Billy.
Yeah, why
I
not?
know,
Funny.
right?
Bonus
Oh,
episode. Go
Billy.
watch You Know What's Funny on the early episodes of the Tower Cast.
I'll just go to towerproduction.com, whatever.
I'm sorry,
Tower
my ad
Prod.
was way better than like go watch a movie. You know.
You know
But,
what's funny
yeah.
is on towerprod.com where you can check it out. And this wraps our comedy month for
Wait.
the Watchtower Film Podcast.
Last thing, do you have a favorite joke? I just thought of one from the thing.
Which one?
The one where they're talking to the doctor and he's like, "It doesn't look good for your condition," and he's like,
I've been trying to build this cabinet.
"I've been trying to build this cabinet for months, man. Can you
Damn
help me
it.
out?"
You took mine.
Huh?
He took mine.
I
That's
think it is-
yours?
Yeah, that one's hilarious.
Mine's a fuck it. Fuck negativity in the ass. Fuck it in the ass with like Chinese monkey. That's my jam. Shit's funny.
Oh yeah, those are pretty good. I can't remember like
Another good one.
yeah,
Fuck
one
Facebook.
with the doctor like How did it feel like to die at the end?
At the end of Die Hard. Are you mad because you died at the end of Die Hard?
Or like the one that everybody was waiting for, where it's Eminem's yelling at Ray Romano. And then he's like,
such a great bit.
And everybody's waiting for it. It's like,
do you want to fuck me? Do you want me to bend over?
Say no, man.
No, man. I thought everybody loved you.
Everybody was waiting for that
It's
moment.
perfect.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
I love Romano. How it's just like, is
he's
it
a
like
hypochondriac?
contagious? Like, because like, man, you just talked and you just spit on my lip, and then like,
Yeah.
if he talks to you and then spit on your
that
lip,
was
it's
part of the extended cut. That's not in the theatrical version.
yeah,
That little
okay.
bit.
Yeah.
That little bit. Everything else is, but that little bit's not on there. It's so
That's great, man. No,
You were right, by the way.
some
This was Eminem post rehab.
But he was still chunky. Too. I thought
He was a little
I
chunky.
thought he came out of rehab like.
By the way,
Yeah.
first theatrical thing since 8 Mile.
Since 8 Mile. I read that. That's right.
Since 8
Yeah.
Mile?
Since 8 Mile, he hadn't done any movies.
But he was chubby. I just thought
Yeah.
that when he came out of relapse, he was.
Hey, Marshall.
Hey, Marshall. The fuck is that? Or is Ray from Everybody Loves Raymond bothering you? So Ray, I don't give a fuck what show he's on. I'll fuck you up. So great, dude. Yeah, great moments, great moments. So yeah, that wraps up our month, our comedy month on the WatchTower Film Podcast. But
So,
if you guys
upcoming.
want us to do this again, because we have been
we should
considering,
do it
there's so
again.
much comedy to talk about. We've been talking about hood comedies that I really want to visit, like make a month out of that.
Fridays.
Some
Yeah,
of the
Fridays.
Will Ferrell comedies.
Will Ferrell comedies that we
Yeah.
haven't touched on. I want to touch on Don't Be a Menace. I really want to talk about that. film.
Friday.
Friday, yeah. So he was saying Friday.
Walk hard.
Walk Hard would be a great one to cover on this podcast.
You don't want none of this, Dewey.
Yeah.
Oh
I
my
think
God.
I do want in on this.
Is it addictive?
I don't want to get a hangover.
It's the cheapest shit there is.
And you never once paid for drugs.
Oh, God.
Yeah, that's great.
Dude, we're not gonna end in that one.
No, but yeah, if you guys want us to do more comedy, just in our regular rotation, I don't see why not. So just let us know. But on the other side of that coin,
Upcoming.
we just did the Film Cafe episode for Blazing Saddles, which is a
Great talk.
blast. So yeah,
A lot of laughs and a lot of good
Women.
Smiles.
food.
Anyway,
go check
so-
it out
Sorry,
if you
I
haven't
got
seen
slow
it.
when
Keep an eye out for our future live episodes at Aaron and George
Yes.
Film Cafe. But what's more is next week we
In like
have
3 days. We have
we're releasing. You're right, because it's been the same week. We're releasing a very special episode of the Towercast podcast, where we talk to an amazing actor. We will have already released the promos by then, I think. So
We should, yeah.
go check out our episode with Eller Coltrane, who was lead in Boyhood. The boy in Boyhood.
Yeah.
Goes in a circle.
Yeah, The Circle with Tom Hanks and Emma Watson. We talked to him about that role, which is great. And then we
Awesome.
talked to him about working
The-
with Burt Reynolds, the great Burt
Nice.
Reynolds on the last movie Star,
Yeah.
and all his indie work, and him being a set designer and art director and stuff like that. And just stay tuned, because we're in touch with Eller to do on some other cool projects that I can't quite talk about right now.
But the next WatchTower
but the next
will be
WatchTower
Rolling Thunder
will be Rolling Thunder
with special guests.
with special guest Javier Gonzalez.
Oh.
That was a blast too to chat about. So just stay tuned. We're gonna do a great series in October. Just that's next month, literally as we're gearing up for our October Halloween releases that we all have great picks for. So
Yeah.
and Killers of the Flower Moon drops in October, so we're pairing a film with that leading up to Scorsese's Killers of the Flower Moon.
yeah.
So just a lot of great stuff coming up on the WatchTower Film Podcast and on the Towercast
Hit
podcast.
the reminder up
so
there.
just subscribe. Please make sure and subscribe to our YouTube, that little bell for notifications.
Yes.
And if you love cinema, this is what we're about. We just talked to a bunch of like cinephiles that are friends of ours, that are filmmakers, that are like, hey, dude, like I watched this thing. Like I genuinely watched this thing.
We're gonna put a phone line. You're gonna be able to call.
Yeah.
No, well, my bad.
We
So
actually did explore that.
We're
for
still
a
talking
little
about
bit,
that, but
through Anchor, but
Yeah, but you can
Well,
actually
on
put
Spotify, you can
Yeah.
leave questions.
Oh, really?
yeah,
put
you
on
can.
your
You
comments
legitimately
and all that, yeah.
yeah, the comments and everything. But you can record a voice, like a voice memo for the.
I don't know if that's still a thing ever since Spotify took over.
Yeah, since Spotify.
But
took
on
over.
Spotify, you can leave us like Q&A questions.
Yeah, and we have our video element on Spotify now, so you can watch this on Spotify or YouTube. So check it out. It's really cool. And just let us know
Yeah.
what you guys want us to talk about. The reason I bring up the other filmmakers who watch this is they were like, almost like wanting to ask, like, dude, you guys have such a good time. Like, can I be on the podcast
the
for an
thing I have,
episode?
like, yes.
And we're gonna do more of that. We're gonna
Yeah.
have more filmmakers like sit in for their favorite film that they want to discuss, or just like, so we're going to do a lot more of that. So just stay tuned for that.
Keep sharing films.
But keep sharing films.
Absolutely.
And thank you guys for tuning into the WatchTower Film Podcast for Comedy Month. Good
Yeah,
night.
welcome
Good
back.
night. What did he just do? Did you just not see it up there, pal?
Nazi it up
He
and
just
mermaid
Nazied it
it.
out. He
All right,
just
everybody,
Nazied
do the
it out.
merman sound.
He did the
What?
Nazi mermaid.
Do the merman sound. Give me the fucking merman. Fuck me like merman.